Hello and welcome once again to the Tuesday Checklist on a Wednesday, the weekly show where we gather round a pretend campfire and share our love of all things PlayStation. Or, as is the case this week, face up to being completely, hopelessly wrong about things. We've all done it, had an opinion about a video game we were totally sure about, only to actually play the game and boom, your mind is turned upside down. First up in the confession box this week is Rosie.
Right, so a game that I admit I was initially wrong about makes me really sad. However, I'm going to tell you this story because I think there's a lot more of everyone out there who was on the same page that I was on with this. And I was wrong about it, and now it's one of my favorite franchises of all time. It was Yakuza 0. When this game, or this whole series, was kind of first introduced to me, all I really heard about it was that, it was a Grand Theft Auto game in Japan. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to be interested in this. And then I remember we actually bought it because, everyone seemed to be talking about it. And I was still about it. And when we started playing it, I wasn't really fully invested, investing myself into it. I was probably chilling on my phone whilst someone else played it, or, if I did have a go, I just went over to the UFO catcher and was like, oh, look at me catching these things. I wasn't really giving it what
you're talking about. Sorry, Rosie. That is one of just an example of just not knowing what you want to do.
A UFO catcher, you put the money in, then you go, and then you pick up a fun toy. The claw. Oh, sorry, the claw. Well, yeah, so, going on one of those, and I was just like, haha, look at me, this is fun for an evening. And then it wasn't until a year later that it was actually Yakuza Kiwami that we played, and we actually decided to okay, right, let's actually try and get fully invested in this. And just from playing Kiwami, I was so completely wrong about this, and it made me look back on my first experience with Yakuza 0, not taking it seriously and just chilling on my phone but why was I an idiot then and didn't give the first half an hour what it deserved? Why was I such a baboon? And then here I am playing Yakuza Kiwami, oh my god, this series and franchise is amazing. Why did no one tell me about this sooner? And it's just. And then of course, from Kiwami, then we did, I think it was Kiwami 2, no, it was 0. Either way, we then went back to 0, and 0 is actually one of the best games on PlayStation 4. It is honestly phenomenal. So yeah, that was just one. I'm sad to admit it, but I also admit it because I know there are so many people who message me on social media, Twitter, and they're like, oh, I didn't give this series a chance, but now I have, and I'm so glad I did. So it's yes, please play it more. Don't make my dumb mistake where I was faffing about on my phone whilst playing it. Fully play it because it's amazing and you'll have a fantastic time with it, and then tell me on social media how much fun you're having on all the Yakuza games because they're all brilliant.
Have you finished all of them now, Rosie?
We're on Yakuza 5,
My
so
God.
I've done.
It sounds like you've, from where I am, that you liked Yakuza for forever, and you still haven't finished them all.
Well, it's because we treasure them.
No, who has the time?
We treasure them. Obviously Yakuza's a big world. Got to do everything in it. So what I tend to do is I'll play it once with my boyfriend because he loves it just as much as I do. And then after that, I will play it again on my profile to try and get the platinum trophy or do that sort of stuff. So I did it with Kiwami, and I want to now do it with Kiwami 2 because the Kiwami platinum is on pause for a little bit. But yeah, that's a stupid mistake, or not a mistake, it was a stupid attitude I had towards a game which I didn't think much of, and then it completely blew me away, and I absolutely adore it, and everyone please play the Yakuza games because they are the best.
Okay, so I really wanted to go after Dave, just so I went into this filming experience with the enjoyment of watching Dave admit that he was wrong about something. And also my instinct is to just reel off a list of games that I was wrong about, because we're all wrong about some games, aren't we? But then that would ruin potentially Dave's entry, so I don't want to do that. There are games I've bounced off, loads, and I was, as I came to sit down, I was going to talk about The Witcher 3. Because I was obviously wrong about that. I played it once, stopped it for ages, I was like, oh, the inventory's incredibly difficult to manage, and I seem to be just in a swamp, so I didn't really enjoy it, and obviously I was massively wrong about that. But one that I was actually wrong about the way I was playing it, and that was the difference, and it was actually listening to Rosie talk which made me think about this, was the first Dishonored game, which I always liked, but I was wrong about why I liked it.
And you liked it the wrong way.
I liked it the wrong way. And when I played the second Dishonored, I, for whatever reason, slipped into just a different mode of playing. And this whole video has made me think about this in general, because I think the sort of gamer I am, sort of a player that I am, has changed over the time that we've been on Access even, and that I enjoy things. There's a few times where, like even getting a platinum trophy for us, I'm looking at Dave and Rob, you know, like we never used to think that we were the sort of people who did that. Now they're a regular thing on the channel, and at some point I just sat down and went, well, other people do it, I'm sure I could just do it. And that was kind of how I felt playing Neo, that was kind of how I felt when I finally like tried to play Dark Souls and was okay at them and you can get through them. And with Dishonored, similar sort of shift in my mind, not in a masochistic way, where I just sort of understood about, in Dishonored 2, I played Dishonored, I was trying to be non-chaotic, didn't really understand the systems and how they worked, basically wasn't on the game's level of like logic and understanding the possibilities in front of me. And so I would get through, you know, like I would fight someone with a sword and just kill them and think, right, cool, I'm in the next part of the level. And then, you know, I would do all the objectives, and some of them haphazardly, you know, like I would find sometimes a cool way to kill someone, sometimes I would stumble along the non-lethal way. But the way that I started playing the game in Dishonored 2 was slightly more, I don't want to say holistic because it's ridiculous, but like I had the urge I encountered every level like this sort of design that I could pick through and understand and completely like explore. And it reminds me of the way, and I found this disgusting, but the way that my brother used to eat Bounty bars as a child would be that he would strip the chocolate off the coconut and then eat perhaps even each individual piece of coconut.
My God.
It was a grim time, but you know, like that's what he enjoyed about it, for whatever reason. And I was kind of like that with Dishonored 2. I want to stealth into every area, understand the sort of the layout, the things that the game had done as a design, different people I could talk to, different sort of physical parts of the map, and then understand what abilities I had and how I could like apply them. And I'd want to get through without being seen, without killing anybody, like perfectly smoothly. And then at the end of Dishonored 2, I was like, that was incredible. I am now going to go back and play Dishonored 1 and do exactly the same thing. And it was like playing a different game. It was amazing, and I realised that I had done it wrong and that I was an idiot back then. Not like me now, and I know everything now.
We're just right about everything.
Yeah, I'm great. Yeah.
No comment.
Current Nath is on top of everything. He's a great guy.
Would you say you were also wrong about Metal Gear Solid?
I don't know.
The most devastating time I've been wrong is a bit negative, so I'm gonna brush past it. But I'll tell you, it's when I thought that the game Men in Black, the game, would be good. Didn't matter how many reviews I read that said no, and I had 2 bites of the cherry because it was ported from PC to PlayStation. I saw all the PC reviews, terrible, terrible, terrible. I was like, they're wrong, they're wrong. Then I saw all the PlayStation reviews, it's terrible, don't do it. And I was like, you're all wrong, you idiots. I love Men in Black, and I'm gonna love Men in Black the game. I admit, I was wrong, it's terrible, don't do it. Don't do it. But at the risk of damaging my own brand, the Dave brand, stock is low at the moment anyway.
It's a good time to buy.
So I have to admit I was wrong about Resident Evil 2 Remake. A game I had no interest in playing whatsoever, obviously because I'm scared of horror. And a game that I was completely wrong about because it's fantastic. And I was wrong about it, not just like, it wasn't just that I thought I'd be scared. I was scared a lot. And it wasn't, you know, it wasn't just that, like I overcame my fear, amazing. It's actually like, it's more about the Resident Evil, like the tone of Resident Evil. I always thought it was stupid, you know, stupid, awful dialogue, like awful voice acting. What are they doing? And I know that the remake is, we're talking about the remake, which has updated a lot of the kind of traditional Resi stuff, but I think it hasn't but I think it's just updated it. I think it's still got that core, that kind of the character of it, you know. The time that I realised it built over, it was several things. First of all, I saw Rob playing Resident Evil 7, and you were doing like a puzzle bit, Rob, and I was just like, oh man, I love this. I love this. Find the thing that fits in the thing. Like what's, you know, just how do these things work? Or look at a bit of art and like, oh, the angel's pointing to the left. What does it mean? Just like, oh, I'm just so compelled by that kind of stuff. And I was, you know, watching Rob play and was invested in whatever puzzle you were doing right then. So that was in the back of my mind. And then Nathan and I went to a preview event for Resi 2 Remake, and I watched him play. I think you played the whole section where you evade Mr. X. So I remember distinctly running around and around the library, you know, and just going like, screaming. I wonder if he can jump, and then he'd just be like, boom, like next to us and stuff. And it was so intense and terrifying. I think if I had been playing, it would have put me off. But watching you play, I had to be kind of calm because you were freaking out a bit, and it's this insane bit, and it just doesn't end, you know. Like, it became apparent to us that the only way he will not stop following you. No. The only way to have him stop following you is to get through that bit. Like, you just got to keep going. And I felt so like thrilled by it because it's not just surviving, it's that whilst also trying to do the puzzles. Like in the library, you know, you've got to move the bookcases and you've got to find the lever, and then where was the lever? Looking at the map and just running. Sometimes you're just running. This all is incredibly not me, but I really enjoyed it. And so when the game came out, those two things, like, I like puzzles and I enjoyed watching Nath do the Mr. X bit, and also I felt because I'd watched you do it, I knew I could do it. Like, I knew at least what I had to do, you know? It wasn't just like, how do I shoot him? Why am I dying? I could skip all of that stuff and just go straight to what have I got to do. And it's just a fantastic game. It looks incredible. It plays brilliantly. The way that they've kind of like brought it up to date, I mean, it's just a completely modern game, but it's got that same kind of core running through it of the wonderfully weird dialogue, weird character choices, and I always thought that was kind of a detrimental thing to Resident Evil, but I was definitely wrong about that. I think it pulls it all together and makes it way more palatable and makes it more fun. Like, some aspects of those games would just be horrible, and the silly kind of characters and dialogue, and I don't know, something about it is right and makes it
it's so funny, and
a bit of sugar.
It's like those things that you just have to try and talk to people who maybe don't really know games or a particular game. It's like, why do they all talk like that? It's like when someone first showed me Dark Souls, and I was like, why does every character go,
yeah.
What are you talking about?
People don't do that. I don't get it. Yeah, so there you go, Resident Evil 2 Remake. I was wrong. Maybe more of the Resident Evil games I may also have been wrong.
Have you played 3 yet?
Yes, I've also finished 3.
Okay. Oh. I thought I was going to catch you out then.
No.
Okay, so I don't like admitting that I'm wrong, but a game I was very wrong about was the original Batman Arkham Asylum, which came out in 2009 before I worked in the industry. I remember seeing the first trailer for it, and a couple of my friends getting very excited, and I was like, slow down, come on, it's a Batman game. Batman games are always rubbish. Licensed games, come on, they're rubbish. Superhero games are rubbish. Like, it might look good in the trailer, all trailers look good, but there's no way the Batman game is going to be good. Don't be silly. And my friends were like, no, I think it might be good, And even when it came out and the reviews first dropped, and they were like, 9 out of 10, 9 out of 10,
that
10
was
out
my
of 10.
review.
That was your review, was it? Okay. I might have read your review, Nath, and I thought,
didn't believe who's
9 out of 10? How much have they paid him for that? And then, obviously, because I couldn't resist, because, I got the FOMO, the fear of missing out. I was like, I'm going to have to try it, aren't I? So I rented it. And, as everyone knows now, the Batman Arkham games are absolutely incredible. But I think it's the most wrong I have ever been about a game, because I was expecting it to be, proper garbage, like those games. The old Batman games, I don't remember what it is, but where he's so unheroic that he can't even get up a roadside curb or something. And you're thinking, this is Batman for crying out loud. But Batman Arkham Asylum, it didn't take long before I was like, oh, okay, yes, they have made a real amazing game, not just good for licensed games, not just good for a superhero game, probably game of the year contender good. And I still think, despite how amazing the subsequent Arkham games are, I still think Arkham Asylum is my favourite game because it blew my expectations so far out of the water. The atmosphere in it, the combat, so good. Batman's always been my favourite superhero, I think, because he's quite moody. It's not all light, and it's not Spider-Man, is he? Like all happy and woo and colourful. He's quite miserable, and I relate to that quite a lot. And I also really like just dishing out quite violent justice to people who deserve it, and in the game as well.
But what?
But what a game. I think we can all agree. There's no one who would disagree that Batman Arkham Asylum is an incredible game. Fantastic characters. Mark Hamill as the Joker. One of the most iconic video game performances probably of all time. Kevin Conroy as Batman takes you right back to the animated series, which as a kid was probably the greatest cartoon. Do we call that a cartoon? That's a cartoon, right?
That'll be coming
animated series.
Someone will
I
be
don't know. Whatever. I love it.
Animated
It's great.
experience.
It's absolutely brilliant. Everything was perfect in that game. The traversal, the boss fights. Oh, wonderful.
Rob, do you know, it's funny because we're talking about my review and you reading it and still being, but I was in exactly the same, until I did it, I was in exactly the same boat. Even we were previewed it and I was like, it looks stiff. And I think this, because it's modeled on the animated series, I was just thinking, that character just looks so bulky and it's going to play really bulky. And then and for me, the thing which makes it, all the things you said, but the combat is so fluid and slick. It's so good. And I remember playing it just going, just not really knowing what score to give it, this is good, right?
Yeah.
This is good. And it's like when you're out ahead and you have to make a decision on your own.
And that's terrifying, that.
Good.
I remember a couple of times having that happen to me and second guessing my own enjoyment of something.
Yep.
This is supposed to be bad. Why am I enjoying it so much? But yeah, what a great game. And I'm happy to admit that I was completely wrong about Batman Arkham Asylum. Well done, Rocksteady. You made a very good game.
But, and I never really played the original games. I had a bad experience of being sent to fight the final boss in Resident Evil with only a knife by my friend, who thought it was hilarious. That put me off.
I'm not sure I've heard that before, but that makes sense of a lot of things.
Right, yes. I didn't know what I was doing. They were like, oh yeah, you can only do it with a knife. Let me just set this up for you.
I think I sense another live stream happening. Tell us in the comments if you want to see Dave's knife-only Resi walkthrough. And then give us a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe if you haven't already, so you're always up to date with everything from the world of PlayStation. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you again soon.
PlayStation